Hey everyone, I'm Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews, and welcome to another episode of Stories from the Wasteland. This is where I go into COVID-infested movie theaters in order to look at new releases and determine whether they're worth your time and money. Today, the world finally breathes a sigh in relief as our theatrical Marvel movie drop finally gets a splash of content on the big screen. It took an unacceptably long time, but the MCU's favorite sexy jumpsuit-wearing, ass-kicking super spy finally gets her movie debut. 11 years later, after Wonder Woman, and Captain Marvel, and Birds of Prey. And after only 2 years after being permanently killed off in the MCU.
How do you fuck that up? How do you fuck that up?
Who says the MCU hasn't made any mistakes? Get out of here! I said MCU, not POS. Thank you very much. This is Black Widow. Directed by Kate Shortland and starring Scarlett Johansson, the whitest Asian American woman ever next to Emma Stone, Black Widow follows Natasha Romanoff on the run from the US government following the events of Civil War, where the Avengers suffered a divorce messier than the one she had with Adam Driver.
Every day I wake up and I hope you're dead. Dead like if I could guarantee Henry would be okay. I'd hope you get an illness and then get hit by a car and die.
She moves to Norway while trying to live out a more peaceful life, while unbeknownst to her, another Black Widow was on the run following a failed mission that left her compromised and more woke than a faux activist on Twitter. This Black Widow, on the other hand, happens to be her equally sexy ass-kicking super spy sister Yelena, played by the equally sexy Florence Pugh, and her even sexier fake Russian accent, who seeks out the aid of her sister while taking down the infamous Red Room. Spoiler alert, the damn thing isn't red, nor is it an actual room. Talk about false advertising. While this is going on, the two are on the run by the men who destroyed their childhoods, who sends out one of the Marvel Universe's most badass villains ever, Taskmaster. A powerful and skilled soldier who can imitate the moves of any of its enemies, much like Dark Link in the Legend of Zelda franchise. Also, shenanigans ensue when Natasha's family, in quotations, consisting of her mother Melina, played by permanent Bond girl Rachel Weiss, and Soviet Russia's very own super soldier, the Red Guardian, played by the sexy David Harper and his equally sexy dad bod.
Excuse me everyone, I need to go and vomit for the next 1,000 years.
To say that this film was long overdue is a galactic-sized understatement. And while the film feels a bit clumsily paced, even by comparison to other Marvel movies, it manages to remain as engaging and action-packed as a regular Marvel movie, with the added bonus of having a much deeper and more personal story for one of its protagonists. Much like how Iron Man 3 showcased a PTSD-stricken Tony Stark having to fight off his personal demons following the events of Avengers and Age of Ultron, Black Widow showcases Natasha Romanoff having to come face to face with the ghosts of her past, and putting an end to a bigger horror than anything the Marvel Universe has ever shown, turning this from a regular spy thriller into a commentary on the visceral horrors of human trafficking around the world. Wait, let me explain. As fucking drastic of a bombshell that is, there is a legit reason why I bring it up. Anyone worth their salt will remember that kinda controversial scene from Age of Ultron where Natasha explains that she can't have children following her training in the Red Room, but what they probably didn't realize or think about is that she was only one of the countless women they indoctrinated into becoming Black Widows. Yeah, it turns out anyone can be a Black Widow as long as they're taken from a very early age, and the movie presents this in one of the most haunting cold opens I've ever seen in my entire life. The movie starts off away from the traditional Marvel way of opening their movies, with a cold open showing Natasha and her sister as little girls, while their family escapes following a mission they were tasked with completing. Both Natasha and Yelena get separated from their parents and taken away into the Red Room in a very disturbing title sequence that presents the audience with a horrifying and scary look at how little girls are taken into this mess, and are eventually trained, mutilated, and operated upon, and according to the characters' own accord, having to kill each other to prove that they're the strongest of their kind. All of this happens while a very haunting cover of Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit by Malia J plays in the background, juxtaposed between footage of the movie and what I honestly believe is actual footage or images of girls in situations of human trafficking. This is easily, without a doubt, the darkest opening to any Marvel movie that I have ever seen, and one that's left many viewers in tears and shock for its realism. The fact that this bullshit isn't all Hollywood make-believe and that many people, mostly young women, are experiencing this as a reality every waking minute of their lives. They did not sugarcoat this in any way and truly shed a spotlight on a very dark and very real part of human history.
What the hell is this? For crying out loud, somebody throw a pie!
Black Widow maintains the MCU level of quality that has been prominent since 2012 and honestly feels less like a Marvel movie and more like a female-led Jason Bourne movie, in all the best and its worst aspects of it. Mainly in the sense that it has all the epic writing and story elements of a Bourne movie, while also having the godforsaken shaky cam bullshit coming in the fight scenes. Ay, Dios mío. This is probably one of the only MCU movies I've seen that tries to be more practical with its action scenes and manages to succeed in looking authentic, yet at the same time it's hard to be objective when you can barely tell what the fuck is even happening. This doesn't necessarily mean that the movie has terrible direction though, and while the aforementioned clunky pacing can be a bit jarring as we basically fall from one set piece to the other, the story still manages to retain many of the familiar elements that make Marvel movies so easy to consume, while also adding some variety to it that helps it stand out from the rest of the franchise. This is as good a time as any to talk about the characters, who really are the driving force behind some of the best moments in this entire movie, starting with the titular Black Widow herself, or rather one of the Black Widows, because as I've already explained, Nat was only one of many yet still manages to keep the title while being part of the Avengers. Yeah, think about that next time you watch Age of Ultron. For the first time since the Avengers split following what can charitably be described as a personal disagreement, Nat is on her own personal mission, diving back into the trauma of her past alongside her sister Yelena, who happens to be good at two things: killing people and roasting them in humiliating fashion.
Why don't you take it to one of your super scientist friends? They can explain it to you. Tony Stark, maybe?
Oh, yeah. We're not really talking right now, so...
Great. Perfect timing. Where are my keys? Suchka. Rykov kills you. One of the big ones comes to avenge you.
Wait, what are the big ones?
Well, I doubt the god from space has to take an ibuprofen after a fight. Why do you guys do that thing?
Do what?
That thing you do when you're fighting. And this thing that you do when you whip your hair when you're fighting with the arm and the hair. You do like a fighting pose. It's a fighting pose. You're a total poser.
I'm not a poser.
This is embarrassing to watch even for me.
Ugh, that was disgusting.
Too late for that, sweetie. Nice try.
The two have such incredible chemistry, and despite having been separated by real-life allegorical bullshit, the two still manage to get along and work together to find and destroy the Red Room once and for all. That's not to say Yelena takes it easy with the jokes. And when I say jokes, I mean she brings forth the sass and cranks the discomfort level to fucking 11.
Is it your time of the month?
I don't get my period, dipshit. I don't have a uterus. Yeah, that's what happens when the Red Room gives you an involuntary hysterectomy. They kind of just go in and they rip out all of your reproductive organs. They just get right in there and they chop them all away.
Okay, moving on! Speaking of uncomfortable, David Harper and his dad bod played the awkward stepfather figure for Nat and Yelena, as he is obsessed with reminiscing about the glory days and arm wrestling with X-Men cameos that he fails to understand that his daughters are not the little girls he once knew. His heart is still in the right place, however, and has one of the sweetest dad moments in the entirety of the series. And then there's Rachel Weisz as their mother, Melina, a former Black Widow, now pig farmer in hiding. Her character was honestly kind of wasted in the film since she was given very little to do except for the final climax. It's pretty clear she has had quite a long history with the Red Room, and her relationship with the Red Guardian is more complex than that of her daughters, but we don't really get to see much of her in action. Not bad, but it could have been better. Okay, so at this point, I wanted to address you all as myself, mostly because I've actually written a lot more stuff down for this review, but because of a small oversight, my original draft for this review was erased, and I had to start over from scratch. Over 67% of that review is gone, and honestly, I think it's only appropriate that I finish the review now by addressing the controversy surrounding this film. And before you ask, no, it has nothing to do with the reveal of Taskmaster, get that misogynist bullshit back to the Stone Age and fuck yourself with a harpoon. I mean the real controversy surrounding this film. A few days ago from recording this bit, it was reported that Black Widow herself, Scarlett Johansson, is suing Disney over the release of the film on Disney+. As I'm sure all of you watching already know, the film was released simultaneously on both Disney Plus and in theaters, which the suit claims broke an agreement between Johansson and the company. The suit alleges that Johansson agreed that her salary for the film would be based in large part on the film's box office haul, which, in case you haven't been paying attention, is currently slumping financially following its second weekend. According to the suit, and I quote, "To maximize these receipts and thereby protect her financial interests, Ms. Johansson, who really should have been called Mrs. Johansson as she recently got married, extracted a promise from Marvel that the release of the picture would be a theatrical release. As Mrs. Johansson, Disney, Marvel, and most everyone else in Hollywood knows, a theatrical release is a release that is exclusive to movie theaters. Disney was well aware of this promise, but nonetheless directed Marvel to violate its pledge and instead released the picture on the Disney Plus streaming service the very same day it was released in movie theaters. Disney as of this moment has denied the allegations, saying that there is no merit whatsoever to this filing, and that the suit is especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, before you say to yourself, you know what? They're right, that bitch is crazy. The pandemic is still happening and she's being greedy and irresponsible. Let me remind you that as of this moment, as of the moment of me recording this video right at this very fucking moment, every single Disney theme park is open and receiving admission. So, who exactly is disregarding the global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic again? I say this as a guy who was a well-known Disney shill. The way they're handling this situation is completely and utterly fucking wrong. And I'm not the only one who agrees. Kevin Feige, the man with the plan at Marvel, publicly explained how angry he is over the way Disney treated ScarJo on this matter. And the irony is that this suit is now causing a gigantic ripple effect, with Emma Stone now considering legal action regarding the release of Cruella. If you ask me, everyone who was suckered into this whole thing really should get their legal papers in order, because this whole situation is fucked on every single angle, and it has an unfortunate effect on painting a really bad picture on the product they're trying to sell. I made it no secret that I do not support companies releasing movies on streaming the same day of release, because of this very same situation happening. In the Heights is now considered a box office bomb, with many a YouTube dipshit claiming victory against woke culture, and now the same is being said about Black Widow, even though both of these movies' financial failures had nothing to do with social politics. Congrats on painting a negative view for your film and causing people like me to have to hit the do not recommend channel button on YouTube ad nauseum, Disney. Overall though, how was the rest of the film? Honestly, this is everything I was hoping a Black Widow movie would be and more. It's action-packed, hilarious, filled with powerful social commentary, and provides strong emotional stakes for a character who we know isn't going to have another movie after this one. Black Widow was an ass-kicking spy thriller with amazing fight choreography, when you can actually see it, wonderful cinematography, again when you can actually see it, and powerful performances from both Johansson and Pugh. This film does not need to fail financially any more than In the Heights already did. If it wasn't obvious, this is a damn good movie and a great, albeit very late entry into the MCU. If you have a chance to see it in theaters, go do so and have a great time. I'm gonna give Black Widow an 8 out of 10. The film is currently in theaters wherever available, and while I don't recommend doing so in light of the controversy, if you had to, you can check out the movie on Disney Plus as part of the Premier Access Bundle. Just a reminder, it's $30. And that's all the time for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see here and you would like to see more, be sure to like, share the video with your friends, and subscribe for more content. And if you would like to support the show, then check out our Patreon page for bonus content and exclusive rewards, including the chance to request for a movie or show for us to review in the future. As always, I'm Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews signing out, and I'll see you on the Wasteland.